Okay. I don't know if this is funny or sad. It could be sad for one division of Nikon Incorporated. I, however, tend to think that it's kind of funny. People talk about the costs of the Nikon D500. Invariably, the only people that have been bitching about the Nikon D500 are people that have never used, I've got a D7200, it's just as good, you know. It's like, no, you've not experienced the Nikon D500. This is about the Nikon D5 in relationship also to the Nikon D500. Now, the Nikon D5 is basically the same megapixel count, 20.8 versus 20.9. Well, isn't that special? This is a $2,000 camera, not with a vertical grip, it's $2,000. The Nikon D5 is $6,500, $4,500 more. I want to read off some facts to you about that camera, and I've tested the Nikon D5. I told people, I was one of the first people to review the Nikon D5, and I said, listen, there's not going to be any hoopla out there about the Nikon D5 and literally there's been crickets chirping ever since I was proven right. I've handled and I've tested and owned every Nikon DSLR made. I knew what it would be. If it's a tax write-off for your business as a photojournalist, that's fine. You know, who cares about the price? That's not always the case for most people. This isn't about the price. I'm going to tell you the fact right now. If the Nikon D5 at $6,500 were the exact same price as the Nikon D5, they're both $2,000, I would still not buy the Nikon D5. I mean, I am telling you that just flat out. If you think people make fun of me because I own so much photography gear. It's like, oh my God, you own two Nikon D500s. I own two of these cameras. So, you know, if you think I can't buy the camera, you know, you're smoking crack. People that don't even like me know better than that. They're like, oh, this guy, you know, whatever camera he wants, he can go out there and buy it. If it were the same price, I still wouldn't buy it. And the reasoning for that is the Nikon D500 is actually too good. Well, that's not a reason. Here are the reasons. Nikon D5 has the exact same autofocus sensor array in it as the Nikon D500, both exactly the same, which means that the actual tracking points cover the entire sensor on the D500, but they do not on the D5, which means this has better continuous autofocus tracking than the Nikon D5. I mean, that's just an empirical fact. Now, the Nikon D5 does have a dedicated chip to process that autofocus tracking, which does give it a wee advantage. But in reality, that is offset and is worse because it does not have full coverage of the full frame sensor. See, there's a smaller sensor in here, but it has the exact same autofocus sensor itself. Both are exactly the same. The actual autofocus sensor itself. So on the smaller sensor, you have complete tracking from either side of the scene. So even though there's a dedicated chip to processing the autofocus tracking on the D5, it still does not have full coverage. It doesn't matter how much faster it can actually track it. It still doesn't have full coverage. So ultimately, the final tally on the math is the autofocus tracking is superior. And recently, someone pointed that out to me that Digital Rev, even though I think they're a comedy channel, I think some of their stuff is funny. They just did a comparison between the D5 and the D500, and they said the same thing. They said, we think the D5 is actually better in many ways. And I knew that was right. I said that months and months ago. Here's another really stinky thing. Since they're both basically the same megapixel count, 20.8, 20.9, whatever, same. The D5 has an optical low-pass filter, i.e. an anti-aliasing filter, which makes images at magnification look worse because an optical low-pass filter degrades the sharpness, degrades the resolution of the image. I mean, that's undeniable. D500 does not have that OLP, optical OLPF, okay, that's no bueno. The D500 is superior for a lot less money, but if they're both the exact same price, I still wouldn't buy it. Here's another reason why. If you're going to do sports action wildlife, and you're going to crop that shot. And a lot of Olympic shooters, Olympic shooters and bird shooters and wildlife shooters, they crop the shot. We all know, basically, at least people that know anything about cameras know that the pixel density on DX cameras is much higher than full-frame cameras. Like if this were a full-frame sensor at the exact same pixel pitch, it would be 47 megapixels. So if you came to the exact same pixel pitch and made it a full-frame sensor, it would be 47, which means that the pixel density is higher, which means you have better croppability on this camera, quite a lot more than you do on the Nikon D5. The D5 has, listen closely, the D5 has exactly one advantage over this Nikon D500. And for 99.9% of shooters out there, well, let's just say 99%. It's BS. The one advantage the Nikon D5 as at insanely high, absurd, stupid, a straitjacket high ISOs, it has better performance there. I'm not talking about high ISO. I showed high ISO performance on this thing at 40,000. 40,000 ISO is just incredible performance on the Nikon D500. I'm talking about super, super stupid levels of high ISO. The Nikon D5 excels because of those huge honking photo sites on that large sensor. They're both the same megapixel count, 20.8, 20.9. Let's just call them the same. Okay? So, unless you are somebody that is, shooting in the middle of the night, just no. There's not even 1% of shooters that need that ultra stupid high ISO level performance. So literally, I can say this: if someone had a lie detector hooked to me and another person, had a knife behind me ready to stick it in my neck if I lied, I will tell you that if the D5 were the exact same price as the Nikon D500, I would still pick the Nikon D5. There's somebody, this is either a huge hat tip from the people at Nikon to the average, because they don't sell, a lot of, even if the Nikon D5 were incredible, the people that would buy that are Olympic shooters and photojournalists. And also the D5, would make a horrible portraiture camera because that optical low-pass filter, no baby, no, AA filter, no, that is no bueno. You don't have much croppability on that camera. No. This camera is, in anybody that's complained, well, that's a DX camera and it's $2,000. Well, let me tell you what, as someone that loves the hell out of Nikon, I give Nikon, I give them lip all the time for doing stupid stuff, but I also praise them for doing stuff that's awesome. I even heard directly that Nikon has a media division. I swear to God this is the truth, and I made a video about it last week. Nikon has a media division where they watch all social media and YouTube, and they like forwards. I was the first idiot on YouTube making videos about the Nikon D500, and I made a lot of videos about this Nikon D500. And Nikon forwarded a message to all their representatives across the globe about me talking about the which I thought was odd. It's like Nikon's watching my videos, some of them anyway. So if anybody has ever told you that this camera is too expensive, that if you think that, then I'm sorry, I'm gonna say you're an idiot. This camera is priced too cheap. The basically bottomless buffer, what this camera is good for, oh my God, the autofocus tracking is so awesome, it make you want to smack your mother. It just make you happier than a worm in a pile of poo. It's absolutely the tits. It's really rather incredible camera. Really is. The XQD cards and basically the bottomless buffer and the autofocus tracking. You have anybody that is in love with being able to track fast moving systems. And then you keep the shutter held down because the buffer is nearly bottomless. It just keeps on. Oh my God. Yes. So any of you says Nikon D500 is too expensive, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, you're just an idiot. It's like, well, that's your opinion. No, some opinions are worth more than others, you know? Like if someone just like got into bicycling like a year ago, and he's like, this is an awesome bicycle, and then some old dude comes up and is like, I've been building bicycles for 50 years, and I have owned 1,000 different bicycles. You see, one person's, you know, just because it's like, well, that's your opinion. Let me tell you, brother man and sister girl, some opinions are worth a lot more than others. You know, the guy that is living in his grandmother's basement, I'm not going to take his advice on the stock market and where to stick my money. Now, the dude that steps out of the limousine that has been rolling the dice on the stock market for a long time, and he lights his cigars with $100 bills, his opinion on the stock market is worth more than the other dude that is like dabbling in penny stocks living in his grandma's basement. Okay? Just because something is an opinion doesn't mean that all opinions are the same, girlfriend. Let me tell you. Some opinions are worth a lot more than other opinions. A lot. And people with brains can actually see that. It's like, yeah, that guy's got an opinion, but I actually trust his opinion because he's friggin' been around the block and he's seen it all. You know. That's also really another important factor of human psychology that is like not, oh, that's just an opinion, that's an opinion, and that's opinion. You're right, they're both opinions, but one of them is worth a lot more than another's. Yeah, it's just that's the way it is, and people that are intelligent, and there are not too many of those left in the world, know that fact. So, D500 all the way, and D5, Nikon D5, no bueno, No, no. Thanks for watching. Bye.